Welcome to Conversations with My Real Friends. My name's Jennifer. Today's environment with real estate is shifting as a result of multiple legal actions affecting real estate. If you want to learn how to move forward in this changing world, you want a path to success, here's your opportunity to learn more. So where do we go from here? And this is a bit of a crystal ball, right? I'm guessing as to what's going to happen. I'm pretty good at it though. I will admit, if I was gambling, I'd bet on me, right? So from a real world standpoint, your marketing and talking to consumers is going to change if you're a real estate agent, right? And you're going to have to build your pipeline in a different way. So how do we construct a pipeline? First, you got to decide who you want to work with. You know, they don't just pick you. You pick them too, right? A lot of us get so caught up in wanting to sell that anybody who walks in the door will take them as a client. Don't do that, right? Figure out who you want to work with. What's your style? Who are you going to work well with? Because when you get that one who doesn't fit with you, you regret it every day until they either fire you or you finally just give up and quit, right? But the 6 months in between is hell, right? The people who text you at midnight, you can fire them, right? The people who you don't want to work with this is true, right? I have set boundaries. Realtors tell me they can't set boundaries. I call BS. You can set boundaries, right? You can say, I don't respond before 8 o'clock in the morning. You can say, I don't respond after 5 o'clock at night. I have children and I'm home dealing with my children, right? And because I do all of these things, right? You can say, I don't work weekends. Now, again, for realtors, a weekend is a hard problem. But so you say, all right, I work weekends because that's part of the deal, but then I take Monday and Tuesday off. And you can do that. And you can actually take Monday and Tuesday off. And the clients who respect you and respect that will be fine with it. They will, right? When I changed, right, I have a business coach. They said, stop answering every phone call, stop catering to everyone. And I'm like, I'll lose all my clients. I'm scared to death, right? My business is 10 times better now that I set rules and boundaries. And the people I work with, I like working with because they appreciate it and they get it, right? You can build the client base you want, right? So this is about a constant process of building your business. And by the way, realtors, you're small business owners. Did you know that? You're business owners. You're building a business. And the bottom line is the more people you touch, the more business you're going to have, right? So make it a process of continuous identification. You want to have prospecting tactics, whatever they are. And honestly, prospecting for listings is different than prospecting for buyers, right? And I'm a big fan of prospecting in areas that you enjoy. So if you're into the Rotary, right? If the Rotary is your thing, then go do the Rotary. Spend the hours giving to charity because you'll build those relationships and all of those Rotary people will be your clients. And then there'll be people you like and want to hang out with and want to do business with, right? I have a client who she's a horse person. She is in that community. She knows everybody, right? And she does every escrow for every horse property where she's at, right? You build whatever it is you like and you're good at, build those relationships. I was at an event in Rancho Cucamonga a month ago, and the guy used to be a sheriff, right? So he was a sheriff, he retired, and he became a realtor. So he markets to all of his sheriff and first responder friends. Well, they want to work with him. He speaks their language, right? They can communicate and collaborate. He's doing great as a realtor, right? So figure out what that is for you and use it, right? I've done it. Escrow. No kidding, right? I was an escrow officer for 15 years. I speak their language. I know what they want. I can respond to them. I have 400 companies as clients. It's not that complicated, right? So you want to segment on the different types, right? So once you do build this pipeline, so I love escrow. I do a lot of escrow stuff. We have 25 practice areas as a law firm, right? 25. So I have a niche and I market differently to each 25, right? Now, don't start with 25. I'll just say that. Pick one thing, pick one group, get involved, pick one marketing tactic and build it and develop it. We market in like 20 different ways today, but I didn't start marketing in 20 different ways. I started in one and I built that and then I added a second one, right? And I built that, right? That's how it works, continuous improvement, right? Be a valuable resource. The more that you are giving and providing education, the more people will flock to your door. It is a game changer, right? So when you come to events like this, collect the information. It's a reason to pick up the phone and call a buyer or a seller instead of just, you want to sell today? You want to go see some properties today? How about, oh, did you know there's this new law about ADUs? Are you interested in ADU property? We could go talk about it. We could show you ADU properties, or you could potentially build one. Totally different conversation, right? Totally different engagement. So be a resource. Be a leader, right? People are drawn to leaders. So whatever it is you get involved in, be a leader. This goes to, I was talking to Anna about this a couple hours ago. I can stand in front of 1,000 people and talk. I have no problem, right? I have no fear of public speaking whatsoever. You put me in a room with 10 strangers and I'll go stand against the wall. I am not kidding. I am scared to death to walk into a room of strangers. I have gone to networking events and not been able to get myself to get out of the car. I am that afraid of walking into a room of people I don't know. We all have whatever our fears are, right? And so I listened to Audible of a book called How to Work a Room, right? So she talked about how to, because I was like, well, this is a skill I don't have. How do I do this? And she said, the trick is that when you go to an event, you go in as if you're the host. If you demonstrate host behavior, the host job is to go talk to everybody, right? So you go with the plan that you're the host. That's why when I'm a speaker, I'm the host, right? I'm super comfortable. But if you're a guest, what do when you're a guest? You wait for someone to welcome you in, and then you wait for someone to talk to you, right? So it's the same thing. Your clients, if you're the leader, they're going to follow you, right? If you're the guest, they're going to let you sit there by yourself, right? Same concept. And then you have to understand what you're worth. You have to recognize your value, and you have to stand up for it. We had a prospect call. He's a developer. Our developers are some of the worst clients from that perspective because they all want a discount, right? And we don't discount. And this guy called, and we charge $7,500 for what he wants. And he said, well, I can get it for $35,000. And we said, okay, go ahead. And we're not doing it for $35,000. It doesn't even make sense for us from a business model. And then he called back and he said, will you do $5,000? And we said, no, we're going to charge $75,000. And you don't have to use us, but that's what we charge. That's the quality of product we produce. He's going to call back in a day or two and sign a contract for $7,500. I am confident, right? But if I had not understood my value, and not only do I understand my value from what we produce, I look at my business, right? I have salaries I have to pay. There are costs to run a business. If I do it at $3,500, I'm losing money. I can't make that up on volume, right? You can't make up losses on volume. So I'm better off not doing anything with him and spending my time somewhere else if that's what he's going to pay. And you know he's going to complain even when he pays it, right? So know your value. Agents have not articulated their value on the buyer side. And you're going to have to start doing that. So if you think you're worth 2.5%, you need to say that. And I think you are, but you have to be able to articulate it, okay? So you want to create a marketing schedule and figure out how to do that. There's different types of marketing. You can have annual marketing, monthly marketing, weekly marketing, holiday marketing. If you really want some help, hire someone like Tristan, and they will help you put a marketing plan together and build systems for this, right? The key to this is top of mind awareness, TOMA, right? The marketing rules say that it takes someone 7 times to see your name to remember it, right? So going to one networking event is not going to solve your problem. Putting out one brochure is not going to solve your problem, right? Doing one public speaking event is not going to solve your problem. It is a continuous process of putting out content so that people see you and they recognize you and they remember you, so that when they or someone they know needs your services, you're who comes to their head. It's that simple, right? So there are very simple, and marketing used to be really expensive, right? Run a billboard or an advertisement in the newspaper or some magazine, right? It used to be super expensive. Every one of these things you can do for less than $100 a month, right? A newsletter. I pay Constant Contact like $118 a month to send out a newsletter. An e-blast, right? You can send out emails with information. Professional publications, they'll pay you to write for them. They need content, right? Speak at an organizational event. Every organization needs speakers. If you volunteer to speak, they will have you come speak. You better do a good job, right? But they will come. They will be there. You know how I got 400 escrow clients? I spoke at every escrow event that existed. I don't. I still speak at every escrow event that exists, right? And yes, it's time, right? There's a cost factor. And this presentation didn't just pop up like, we have Microsoft, and Microsoft has this new AI called Copilot. And I told Copilot to write this, and it did a really bad job, so I got to write it, right? We're still having to do this, right? I spend a lot of time putting this stuff together, but it pays off way more than what it costs from a time perspective, right? So again, don't try to do everything I'm saying tomorrow, because you'll freeze. You'll be scared and overwhelmed. Pick one thing and do it, right? But public speaking is a really easy one, because again, every trade association needs people. If you can give them a topic that will be of interest, they will have you come speak, and you will build. And we use a CRM, right? A contact relationship management company, to track our prospects, who then turn into clients. We average 5 to 7 prospects a day based upon the marketing that we've done. So this is not us cold calling. This is people calling us. 5 to 7 prospects call us a day. We retain 1 to 2 new clients a day. And in that, we keep track of where the clients came from. 95% of them are referrals. And a third of those names I don't recognize. So we talk about who do you know? No, it's not who do you know. It's who knows you. They're different. So there are people who know me that I don't know, and they're sending me clients. That's how you do this, right? You get out there getting people to look at you and talk about you. Social media, it's free, right? I have built I got on social media, 15 years ago? My daughter was in high school, right? I had no interest in social media, by the way, right? My daughter was in high school and she wanted to get a Facebook account. Now, of course, she's not on Facebook anymore, because none of them are on Facebook anymore. But she wanted a Facebook account. And as a parent, you're like worried about your kids. And so I was like, well, you can get a Facebook account if I'm your friend, right? So I joined Facebook so that I could be a friend with my daughter and monitor her Facebook. That's the only reason I joined. And then people started sending me friend requests, right? Like people from high school that I hadn't seen in 15 years, right? And family members. And then I'd go on it and I'd see stuff that was interesting, right? And people would talk to me and I'd start to learn things about other people. I think I have 3,000 some odd friends on Facebook today that have just organically grown, right? My LinkedIn is about 4,000 people, right? Again, organically grown. I have not paid anybody to build any of my marketing. I've just organically been active and using it. I get Facebook Messenger clients. People literally hire me through Facebook Messenger. That is insane, right? But they do, right? Or on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, they'll be like, I need to hire you. How do I reach you? I'm like, I have a damn webpage. It's not that damn hard to find me, right? Like my phone number, my name, my picture are everywhere. And they're on LinkedIn, like I can't find you. Like you're not trying very hard, right? But here you go, right? Social media is a game changer. And again, it's free, right? And one of the big things with social media is all my friends or my connections, I'm seeing what's going on in their world, just like they're seeing what's going on in my world. And you know what happens? I'll see them at an event and I'll be like, how was your vacation in Hawaii? Because I saw their vacation in Hawaii. Well, if I'm talking to them about their vacation in Hawaii, I care, right? And so you build a totally different level of relationship with them, right? So that they think you're their friend. I know that's a weird way to say it, right? Because I don't have 3,000 best friends, right? But they all think I'm their best friend, right? And you build this weird, like, online, like, weird relationship, right? But it's extremely valuable professionally. Like, I had no professional aspirations when I did this, but it's been a game changer from a business standpoint, right? And a podcast. Again, so these are just free, simple ways to start building those reach outs so that you can become top of mind. So what do we do if we want to convert prospects to clients? If you have not been on ChatGPT or some sort of artificial intelligence website, when you go home, Google ChatGPT and open it up, it's going to ask you to ask it a question. Ask it a question. I don't care what question you ask it a question. And start having a conversation with it, because it is a language model. It's going to have a conversation with you, right? And you will find out that it's really smart. It's not generating anything, by the way. It is not, they call it generative AI, but it's not actually generating anything. It is pulling from information that exists, but it's really good at it, right? So I put in a prompt to ChatGPT that said, build me a bullet point list of the key strategies for converting prospects to clients, suitable for various sales and service contexts, right? And it said, okay, build rapport, understand needs, educate and inform, demonstrate value, follow up consistently, address objections, offer testimonials, create urgency, personalize the experience, facilitate a smooth onboarding, provide exceptional service. Here's your roadmap. This took less than a minute to generate. You want to learn and need to start building marketing? It'll write it for you. It'll tell you, it'll give you the tools to do what you need to do to start changing your world, okay? So this is literally a cut and paste of my screenshot from ChatGPT. So from an open house standpoint, there's a lot of confusion with the new rules about what's happening with open houses, right? Everybody's all worried because if you're a buyer's agent, you can't show a house without a buyer broker agreement once the new rules go into effect. But if you are sitting in open house, you are sitting in the open house as a representative of the seller. You may not be the listing agent, right? Agents who are not the listing agents sit open houses, but your job, your role there is representing the seller. So if any buyer walks in, they can see the house. They don't have to sign a buyer broker agreement with you to see the house. There's a lot of confusion. A lot of agents think I can't show the house unless I sign a buyer broker agreement, because the new rule says you can't show a house without a buyer broker agreement. But that's showing the house as the buyer's representative. They're walking in off the street. You're not their representative. You're in that house representing the seller, okay? Now, you should ask them if they're interested in hiring you, right? Well, you should have done that before, right? Like, you should have been getting their names, right? You should have had a sign-in sheet, and you should ask them if they're represented, right? And if they're not, you should start a conversation about, well, are you interested in getting representation? Here are some of the things I can offer that would be helpful to you. That should have been going on before. That's what should be going on now, okay? So just understand, anybody walking off the street for an open house, if you're sitting in that open house, you can show them. You don't have to get them into a buyer broker agreement. As for the listing presentation, you're going to start talking to sellers differently about commissions because of this. So start learning and articulating, because my crystal ball says that most sellers are still willing to offer money to find a buyer, right? So we're going to talk differently to them about how that happens. The people pay finder's fees all the time, right? So I do think most sellers, my crystal ball says like 75% of sellers are still going to offer it, right? But again, it's how we talk about it and explaining what value it is. Something we really didn't do before because it was just assumed. Now it's not assumed. So it's just going to be a different conversation. So just know your listing presentation and this discussion is going to go differently. And you're going to actually have to have a buyer broker presentation. You're going to have to sit down with buyers and articulate your value before they're going to agree to sign an agreement, right? Everybody's like, buyers will never sign it. Okay, I'm a lawyer. I have my license, but I'm not selling real estate. And I get this objection from realtors all the time. Well, they don't know me. Why would they sign a contract with me? People find me on LinkedIn and sign a contract and give me money. They've never met me. They don't know me from Adam either, right? But I'm able to articulate value so that they're willing to pay me. You do the same thing, right? You explain why you're worth the money and why they should hire you. What can you give them to warrant the compensation? It's not that complicated, right? It's just different. How many agents did buyer broker agreements before? Right? It's less than 5% from what I can tell that did it before, right? But that goes back to the question of, do you understand your own value, right? Because how often do agents get into fights over who earned the commission? There's a whole area of law that you guys created. What's it called? Procuring cause, right? There's no such thing as procuring cause in any other area of law. I'm not making this up, right? Because people sign contracts and agree. But we as agents didn't believe in ourselves enough to say, I'm not going to work with you unless you agree to hire me, right? We were hookers, right? I'm not making that up, right? No, I'm a Class C person and I'm going to provide these tools and you're going to hire me and I'm going to get paid.
But there was really no reason to do that, to force them to do it because...
Yep. But so for me, no one gets in this door until I'm getting paid.
It's different.
It's not. It's not. Right? I know, I hear that all the time, I promise you. The good agents and the ones who were as busy as I am, right, as far as the volume, the input, they got buyer broker agreements, right? If you build your brand, it's not that hard, okay? It's different, and I get that. But we're in a new world, so we're gonna be talking about adapting to change, and we're running on the time. So there's a book called Who Moved My Cheese? If you have not read Who Moved My Cheese, I highly recommend reading Who Moved My Cheese. You can get it on Audible because I don't spend a lot of time reading. I don't have a lot of spare time, but it's on Audible. It's like an hour long. Fred and I actually listened to it in the car driving back from an escrow conference. We listened to, I'd read it before, but I re-listened to it with everything going on. It is very appropriate. The concept of Who Moved My Cheese, it's a metaphor of a maze, right? So rats in a maze. And in the maze, there's cheese. And so every day they put the rats in the maze, the cheese is in the same place, the rats go follow their pattern and they go to the cheese, right? And then they move the cheese. And each of the 4 rats exhibits different behavior as a result of the cheese moving. The ones who adapt and are able to adjust to looking and finding the new cheese do fine, and the ones who don't die, right? If you can't adapt and change in a changing world, you're not gonna make it, right? So just know, and like I said, we're gonna end up in those stages of grief as we're working through this. So what kind of feelings are you gonna feel? Fear. This is scary, right? My whole world has been being paid in one way, and now I have to talk about getting paid in a different way. And am I gonna get paid? Are those buyers gonna pay me? Are they? Do they have it? How is this gonna work? Absolutely, there's fear, right? How did we feel when COVID hit, right? And we all got locked in our houses. I had 12 employees. How the hell was I gonna feed 12 people with my doors shut? That's called fear, right? How do I pay my bills when I'm not gonna be able to get paid the way I'm used to getting paid? You're totally within your right to feel this. This is normal. it just should not, if it freezes you, if it keeps you from moving forward, that's where you're going to have a problem. So know and understand that this is a normal, rational reaction. Anger, right? I get so much anger when I talk about this, right? The vitriol of how awful this is. By the way, I think this whole thing is crap. I'm on the same side with you, but it doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter. We're here. So we better get going because the cheese ain't there anymore. It ain't where it used to be, right? So you're allowed to feel it, but again, you're going to have to overcome those emotions. And confusion, right? Like this is all very confusing, and especially when they say one thing and then it changes the next day and then it changes the next day. So it is confusing. And the media is putting out bad data, right? There's a lot of bad, unclear. CAR and NAR are not even doing a good job with the communication. Confusion is going to be part of this. So just keep paying attention to the core sources with things. Don't pick a biased voice on a lot of this stuff. The bottom line is survival depends on adapting to change, right? We need to adapt. And we're going to be thinking outside the box, right? If your worldview is, I can only get paid this way, that's the box. Well, that's not going to be there anymore. So you're going to learn how to get paid a different way, right? So one of the things I was talking to Mickey about this. I love public speaking. This is my favorite thing I do, right? But I get paid to be a lawyer, not to be a public speaker, right? So what have I done? I've found a way to monetize public speaking, right? So that I can get paid to do what I like. Right? I still run a law firm. I still do all that. But figure out how to get where you want to go with what you have and what you like, because you'll enjoy it a whole hell of a lot more. Right? And you got to look beyond the obvious, right? We are looking past what we're used to and what we see. Right? The hallmark of successful people is that they're always stretching themselves to learn new things. Right? So just know that's where we're at. We're thinking and growing. That continuous improvement is how you're going to have personal satisfaction and professional success, right? So that's the world.